Hi, I'm Roger from Holistiplan, and we're going to talk in this video entirely about the changes we've made in response to the American Rescue Plan Act of 2021. Now, before you even get into this video and the changes we made in the system, I strongly recommend reading about the changes made in the act itself. And the best place to start is right here. This is an article written by Jeff Levine. He's got several jobs. His favorite job, I'm told, is working with us at Holistiplan. He's our tax planning strategist. But another one of his jobs is writing for Kitces.com. And this is the article he put in Kitces.com. The American Rescue Plan Act of 2021, tax credits, stimulus credits, and more that advisors need to know. And I totally agree. Advisors need to know and read this article, especially before they dig in further on how to do some of the analysis of what's in this act within Holistiplan. But with that out of the way, assuming you've read that article, if you haven't, go ahead and pause and come back. But assuming you've read it, let's look at some of the changes we had to make in the system. The first one is one that I can't really show you too easily because it's backward looking. It's a 2020 change. The first $10,200 of unemployment income for each spouse, if it's married filing jointly, for each spouse, $10,200 tax-free if AGI, and AGI in this case we're calculating including unemployment income, if AGI is under $150,000. And so think about what just happened. They passed a bill on March 11th that was backward looking. And so many people have already filed their tax returns. I bet a number of them tried to file early so they could get whatever refund might have been coming to them. The problem with that is they were paying tax on unemployment income that shouldn't be taxed. And so what does that mean in the system? Well, when you upload a return that has unemployment income and the AGI, or rather the taxable income, doesn't match what our calculation comes up with, if we assume that unemployment is tax-free up to $10,200, we're going to reject it and we're going to send you an email that says, hey, you might want to talk with your client about this. So just know that's happening. In fact, we went back and hit all the returns that had already been uploaded. We emailed the advisor and said, hey, you uploaded this a month ago and it has this potential problem. Talk with your client. Now, my understanding as of recording this video is that there's no real definitive guidance as to what to do for someone who's already filed. Do they file an amended return? There was a rumor that maybe the IRS would try to figure it out and just pay you a refund without you having to file an amendment. It's going to be a huge mess. It's going to be a huge mess for us because potentially they may change what the tax forms look like midstream. We'll see. It's going to be a mess for you and your client because now what do we do? How do we get this refund back? It's going to be a mess for CPAs and whoever at the IRS has to design forms like literally a month before taxes are due. Or I guess taxes due date's been moved, so they got 2 months before. But it's going to be a huge mess. I can show you in Range Calc what's kind of happening here. So here's an example. This is a 2020 tax return. And I put unemployment compensation here of $12,000. The system knows to exclude $10,200 of that income. And so the total income and then everything that flows through out of that is impacted by this unemployment compensation piece. It gets a little bit more complicated when both spouses have unemployment compensation because the tax return does not split out whose is whose. And so it's hard to know if $13,000 or here $12,000, it's hard to know if $12,000 in this case is just one person, in which case only $10,200 is tax-free, or if that's $6,000 for each spouse, in which case the whole thing would be tax-free because they're both below $10,200. It's a mess. We're working on it, but just know that if you upload a return with unemployment income, we'll send you back an email that says, here's the issue, and then there's some decisions to make on your end. It could be that you just don't upload those. Just eyeball it before. This has unemployment income. Let's just talk with the client because we already know there's going to be changes required. All right, so that's the unemployment taxation piece. And that's backward looking to 2020. Everything else I'm going to show you is 2021 specific, and only 2021 actually. So let's flip over to this scenario analysis. This is George and Martha Washington. This is a 2021 scenario, they're married filing jointly. Let me just scroll through, make sure I'm getting this right. So we're going to say that they have 3 dependents here, all right? And you'll notice for 2021, I've got this new field, dependents under 6, because the child tax credit behaves differently now. There's a different amount for children under age 6 versus children who are age 6 all the way up to 17, I believe. And then you've still got your other dependents, and that's still an above the line deduction. But that's what I've done here. So I have this new field. I'm going to say George and Martha Washington have 3 dependents, 2 are under 6, 1 is between age 6 and 17. Let's keep rolling ahead here. All the real interesting stuff that's happening is down in refundable tax credits. All right, and this is a section you may not have seen before because honestly, we kind of quietly rolled out support for tax credits early in 2021. So you may not have seen this before if you haven't touched scenario analysis in a while. But let's go one by one here. So first of all, the stimulus check, okay? This box here, so basically the way it works is there's the $1,400 stimulus, which instead of just per taxpayer is per taxpayer plus dependents. So here we've got married filing jointly, 3 dependents, that's 5 stimuli. 1,400 times 5 potentially. This little checkbox though asks you, the advisor, are they eligible for that stimulus? Because the way this most recent stimulus works is if you already collected it based on your income in 2019 or 2020, your 2021 income doesn't matter because you've already collected it. But if you weren't eligible based on past income, you can still get it based on 2021 income. And so that's what this little check mark is. And basically you're saying here, yes, my 2020 income does impact my ability to get the stimulus or not. If I unclick that, meaning I already got my stimulus, that $1,400 stimulus, sorry, you don't get it based on 2021 income, you gotta turn that off. But if I turn that on, in this case, George and Martha Washington, $7,000 of stimulus credit, because there's, again, 5 people in their family. And you got to be mindful of the phase outs there. That's going to be a whole other video looking at phase outs and the impact in range calc, but be mindful of the AGI phase outs on this. Next, let's look at the refundable child tax credit. That was a very big change this year for 2021. Previously, a non-refundable credit, although there was a slice that was refundable potentially, now the child tax credit is 100% refundable and larger, right? The amounts are larger. There's also that even larger amount if the child is under age 6. So that's going to show up here in the refundable tax credits section. There are phase outs. It's worth reading about the phase outs in that same article that I recommended at the top of this video. So there's really not much you need to do as far as data entry goes on the refundable child tax credit. Just make sure you enter your dependents properly. The last new thing is this dependent care credit. So previously, recall that the dependent care credit existed, but it was a non-refundable credit. Now it is a refundable credit. Also, the maximums, the formula changes and also the maximums that you can claim are much higher. So actually, let me scroll up here. If you look at non-refundable tax credits, first of all, it's blank for 2021 because that no longer applies for 2021. But there it was a $6,000 max for a household with 2 or more children. In 2021, it's a $16,000 max, and it's fully refundable. And so in my household that we set up here, we had 3 children, and so I'm able to say, let's make it $16,000. That creates an $8,000, in this case, dependent care credit. So if you add it all up, this is pretty amazing. This is a client who I think I put their AGI at like 100,000 or a little under 100,000. But they're getting $25,200 in refundable tax credits. They're going to get $17,000 back even though they don't owe any taxes. So these credits, these refundable credits are really, really critical. And the data entry is not too bad. Remember, there's the decision as to whether or not they're even eligible for the stimulus based on 2021 income. We got to enter their dependents properly to get the child tax credit. And we need to make sure that we enter their dependent care expenses down here in the refundable section. Let me just show you what's different, because in theory, 2022, it's supposed to go back to normal. So I'm going to make a 2022 example here. First of all, notice that the under 6 dependents section disappears. And so I got to be careful here. Look, I remember when I copy data forward, it didn't see a place to copy this to. So I got to make sure I say, look, now it's just they're under age 16 or under, and so we're back to normal. Those are my ages for child tax credit. Scrolling down, now in 2022, I need to enter my dependent care credits, dependent care expenses. It's above the line. The maximum you get credit for is $6,000. You can still enter $16,000 if you want, but it's going to cap you at $6,000. Again, that's now a non-refundable credit. And if I scroll down to the refundable credits, all that stuff is gone. The dependent care credit from 2021 is gone. The refundable child tax credit is gone, and the stimulus for 2021 is gone. And so this client, nothing else changed. Their refund went from $17,000 to having to pay $122 in tax. What is missing from the changes we made? I do need to look more closely at edits to the earned income credit. And then there were rumors of changes to the Obamacare premium credit. I need to check. We don't calculate that credit, but we do calculate if the taxpayer is eligible for it or not, or if they're in the phase out for it. So just need to check to see if that changes. There were rumors that they would change that. I haven't yet seen if that's actually true or not. But there you go. Those are the changes made to the system to respond to this American Rescue Plan Act of 2021. Good luck to everyone who has to refile all these tax returns midway through tax return season. It's going to be nuts. But hopefully, as we look at 2021, we have the tools we need to really judge how we can maximize those refundable credits, because they can really be enormous, as shown in this example here. I'm going to do another video about the pitfalls of missing some of those phase outs, because they can be extremely expensive if we miss those AGI phase outs. So stay tuned for that. In the meantime, best of luck getting through tax season, and look forward to getting to tax return review season, because that's going to be really, really interesting this year. All right, good luck.